Boom, 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 boom on the east side. That's where I met my Ramona. I wanna go to a party. That's what she said. Low, boom, 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 into a party, a house party. Who let the people just rally around me in love? She sent a message of love. She said, I love up the way you move. I love the way you rock. Bop, bop. Ramona, please step back. Now she's my Ruka. I'm barely waiting for my high note. Boom, 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 boom. She moved from Long Beach down to LA. Right now she's selling oranges by the freeway. I want to know, Ramona, am I the only one? Tell me. She said, you're not the only one, but you're the best, Blizzy. Bop, bop. And now I'm waiting for my Ruka. And I barely pulled up with my Hyena. I know tonight I'll be behind her. Don't fuck around with my Hyena. Yo, 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 what it does, YouTubes? What it does? Salute to you guys and welcome in. My name is Blizzy Blind. I am your handsome, mustachioed host, and you, my good homie, are just in time. In time for what, Blizzy? In time for some more strange and wacky, wonderful, wild, and crazy hidden gems from the internet. I have been scavenging, searching, hunting, and any other synonym for those words down the goodies, the goods, looking for the stuff that nobody looks for anymore. And because I was thinking about it, and in case anybody's wondering if I'm going to talk about like any of the drama stuff that's going on, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just going to ignore it and act like it's not even there. But what I am going to be doing is I'm going to be showing y'all a new, and for at least as long as I can remember to do it, every day I will be showing y'all some more strange, unusual, and interesting things from the internet. And what have I found for you today? This one's a crazy one, my boy. This one honestly kind of blew my mind. Oh shit. Now I haven't actually looked at any of the content in here, like at all. What do you call it? So I don't even know what's in here. But as soon as I saw the freaking cover page right here, I was like, yeah, this is interesting right here. This is the Luminist Archives, the occult, metaphysics, and the paranormal. Now, if you are unaware, uh, like a lot of times people group Satanists in with Luciferians and in with devil worshippers and blah. Like there's categories to all of them, and mostly the difference being there's a couple of differences. Anton Levy was the founder of Satanism, and Satanism is really kind of just live and let live philosophy. They believe in doing good for the sake of doing good and stuff like that. But there are deeper chapters of it also that are like very anti-Christian. But Luciferianism is something completely different. Luciferianism, if I'm not mistaken, man, it's been so long since I've actually like touched up on this info. It's kind of crazy when I think about it. But Luciferianism, they worship Lucifer, which is the light bearer, which is Prometheus from Greek mythology, the person that brought fire to the human beings. That's the reason why they call themselves the Illuminati. That's the reason why this says the luminous, because they consider themselves the illuminated ones. The Lucifer brought them basically the ability to light the darkness with fire. Now, I don't know exactly directly how this is related, but I mean I'm sure it is the Luminous archives. Now, I always trip out on the symbolism that they have, because it's always it's always kind of similar, but not only that, it's always very reminiscent of the symbolism that we use right here in America. Like you can always see the occult, or I don't know, like, yeah, like occultic, I guess, like occultic uh symbolism, or like magic, occult magic and shit like that. The symbolism is always very similar to the symbolism that we have on our federal buildings, on our money, on our birth certificate. Like if you go downtown and look at your federal buildings, man, you'll see this stuff all over the place. Okay, let's take a look at what this image is. Volume 1, price 6 shillings, number 6. The official organ of the A. How convenient. September 1911. It's like, bro, I don't know, like I don't know anything about numerology, and everything here, in case you don't know, everything that I say here is purely speculative. This is all purely my opinion. This is just a little thought experiment or thought journey that I take y'all guys on. I'm not an expert in anything. I don't give any advice. I don't give any kind of medical advice or life advice. I'm purely just here thinking out loud and sharing my thoughts with anybody that wants to come and share them with me. But it's interesting, right? How numbers tend to repeat like so much, man. And 9/11 is one of them. The equinox, the method of science, and we have the ram standing up and leaning on the shield, which is the sun, and then we have Dionysus. No, I don't know who that is. Okay, let's read some of this. The Luminist Archives, aka readitfree.org, is a non-commercial project with the goal of preserving selected paper-based cultural artifacts for future generations of readers in the form of cover images in JPG format, and where available, complete cover-to-cover scans in PDF format. New items and upgraded copies will be added to the collection as they become available. This project is a collective effort to which all readers are invited to contribute. Items for the collection can be contributed either in electronic form, in hard copy. It's crazy, right? They say uh, basically that they're documenting and saving all of this for posterity. But like, can you imagine introducing one of your kids, or one of your little cousins or nephews or nieces to this information? Like it's so bizarre, right? The fact that some people do that. All right, let's just start at the beginning. The Abbey, April 1954. Scientology acts to legalize as oh snap. This that's crazy, right? This I guess this is a little I don't know exactly what religion this is, but one of their newsletter, undoubtedly with many of you, receipt of the Abbey will come as a surprise, pleasant or unpleasant. You may look at our response to popular demand and think, ye gods, something else to spend money for, but you needn't. You don't care whether we don't care whether anyone subscribes or not. If no one does, we won't have to bother with the second issue. If too many subscribe, we might even be forced to get out something better. At this time this is written, we haven't the slightest idea of what Avery Avery is that how that's pronounced, I think? Avery, Avery, yeah, I would imagine it's Avery, is going to be like, nor where it goes from here. There are plenty of magazines and news bulletins in the field now, but there aren't enough good ones and there are too many bad ones. Some just want to publish something. Some have a grudge against the human race and are trying to get revenge by sponsoring CO2, cyanide, or other quick clearing suits and devices. Others just hope someday to make enough money to pay postage. One of the most interesting started as a lazy letter, but B, I wonder what it doesn't have the rest. The most certain thing about Scientology is that no one can be certain what this science of certainty. That's so funny because imagine they probably just like I did when I first heard the word Scientology. They probably think it's a religion that has some type of science in it. I mean, if they're not familiar with it, they say the science of certainty. Yeah, they do because they must. Because think about it, that's what science is, right? Like science is like the exact measurement of stuff. And he said, no one can be certain what this science of certainty will come up with next. February of this year, rumors that Scientology would become a religion lost their swaddling pamphlets and became a full-fledged fact. Copies of charters to three organizations known as the Church of American Science, the Church of Scientology, and the Church of Spiritual Engineering, chartered under the laws of the state of New Jersey, were proudly displayed in Phoenix offices and Hubbard Association of Scientologists. The Church of American Science is the parent organization for the three churches. The news is mixed emotions. Some were antagonistic of the idea, outspokenly antagonistic. Some who'd nursed in the glories of self-determinism since book one couldn't subscribe to the new idea that the best way to win is to become the enemy. Many said Scientology definitely accomplished that. They definitely uh, are a fucking case study in how to infiltrate and overcome your enemy from the inside. Agape, the official organ of the U.S. Grand Lodge of Ordo Templi Orientis. Dang, that sounds familiar, right? That sounds familiar. Let's see what Gemini says. What the hell? Gemini? Whatever. All right, let's see what they're talking about. How do I zoom in? Okay, there we go. Fraternal salutations, brothers and sisters. It is my pleasure to present to you the first issue of Agape. I don't know what that means, but I've heard of people talk about agape love, the phrase agape love, like when they're talking about Jesus. I was appointed to the Frater Superior to assume responsibility for the U.S. Grand Lodge as a corporate entity subordinate to OTO International Headquarters. I decided to drop the epithet agape for our Grand Lodge. I did this for a number of reasons, but one of the more important ones is that I wanted to emphasize the fact that the U.S. Grand Lodge encompasses the entire country and has no more precise physical location itself, which was, in my mind, implied by the possession of a specific name. The name agape or agape, or I don't know how you would say it, though, is itself an important part of the heritage of our Grand Lodge, and this newsletter seemed the perfect opportunity to recover it. The first OTO lodge in the U.S. was named Agape, which was the first lodge in North America. The first grand. Okay, let's see if we can find something interesting because there's a whole lot of a whole. Welcome to the second issue of Agape in the new common year of 1998. Ono what can Oro Templi Orientis. See what they see what Gemini has to say. Reviewing is Agape, which serves the official esoteric and religious organization. It operates as a secret society and hermetic magical order based on initiatory system, an initiatory system, meaning members advance to a series of degree ceremonies that use ritual drama to impart spiritual and philosophical teachings. Was founded in Germany or Austria between 1895 and 1906. Its creation is primary. That's around the time that Hitler was born, I think. Its creation is primarily attributed to wealthy Austrian Karl Kellner and his collaborator Theodor Roos. Masonic roots. In its earliest incarnation, the order was heavily modeled after European Freemasonry. Kellner originally intended it to be an Academia Masonica, where high-degree Masonic rights could be conferred. In its earliest, existing Freemasons were permitted to join. Oh, that's where I've heard it. That's where I've heard it in Crowley's story. Aleister Crowley in Thelema. The organization is most famous for its association with English author and occultist Aleister Crowley. A shift in philosophy. After Theodore Roos's death, Crowley assumed control of the order, completely restructured the OTO, shifting its focus away from traditional Freemasonry and centering it around itself. Kind of look to see what's interesting. I don't see anything interesting yet, really. All these news and stuff around America. As most probably realize, the law of the limo was not entirely the result of what was that word? What is that word? That's very interesting. Um, I wonder who Will is. As a scholar and even in his role as prophet. Oh, look, we mentioned Crowley, and here he is mentioned in these things. Okay, well, Crowley's pretty mainstream. Let's look for something more obscure. The Agitator. I can't zoom in on this one. Published monthly by Mrs. H.P.M. Brown. 50 cents a year and advance single copy. Foreshadowings. Even now, as a radiant angel goeth forth, a spirit that hath healing on its wings, and flieth east and west and north and south to do the bidding of the King of Kings, stirring man's hearts to compass better things, and teaching brotherhood as that sweet source which holdeth itself all blessed springs, and showing boy to guide its silver course when it shall flood the world. I always feel uncomfortable reading stuff like this because you don't know if you're reading a freaking incantation or something. In every plant that my heavenly Father has planted shall be rooted up. Oh, this is Christian. Thomas Paine. This is a Alien Digest. What the fuck? What? The Alien Digest, volume number one. Look, it looks like Kev in this issue. A general overview of the UFO scene by Creston. A general overview of the UFO scene. The alien agenda in a nutshell. What if an alien threat really does exist? Secret Wars, Star Wars, a defense against aliens. I wonder if that's like the whole. Oh, sweet! Look, the whole. Wow. Yeah, man, I stumbled upon hella content. Okay, how am I gonna do this? How do I close this little window over here? There we go. The law of love. The law of love is the law which places the welfare, concern, and feeling for others above self. The law of love is the close affinity with all forces that you associate with as good. The law of love is the force that denies the existence of evil in the world, that resists not. Love is the path of least resistance. The law of gratitude. Hey man, what do I say all the time? Those are my two ingredients to a happy life, man. Love and gratitude. The law of gratitude is the sense of satisfaction where energy which has been given receives a certain reward. Energy that is given moves out of the curved and unequal line, and when extended far enough, can only return to its source bearing gifts. The Aquarian Church. You know, it's crazy how many Christians believe in astrology. You know what I mean? Government cover up. Well, let's see what they're saying right here. The Aquarian Church of Universal Service was founded and organized as a 501c nonprofit tax exempt organization whose stated purpose is to serve as a religious research, philanthropic, and educational organization. Subscribers to the Cosmic Voyage need not be members. I wonder what that is. Subscribers to the oh that's the name of this newsletter. I was like, who the hell is the Cosmic Voyage? Members are encouraged to study all philosophies and important religious and secular teachings to draw them from the highest and best in search of higher truths and deeper understanding. Subscribers and members need not agree, but our research of religious, scientific, philosophic metaphysics suggests a model of the universe as a living being, encompassing a hierarchy of vibrations and frequencies which hold realms or multidimensional or multi dimensions inhabited by various types of beings. These realms are made from octaves of frequencies and may be the many mentions in biblical terms. The biblical word which was in the beginning. Hold on, now we're getting interesting. Where is that? Oh, the uh, the biblical word which was in the beginning with God as God, John 1 through 4, refers to universal vibrations or frequencies. The universal consciousness or divine mind. These higher frequencies are the life force and emanations of the divine mind of the Creator. It is conceivable that physical matter is but the dream stuff of a divine mind, even as our dreams appear to be material and real while we're living in the dream state. Life as we know it may well be a cosmic dream, and we but thought forms living in the image of a divine mind. The philosophy explains mysteries of psychic and supernatural phenomenon. It reflects the macrocosmic being as similar to a microcosmic being. It presumes that we as individual souls are as cells in the body of God and reflect, like the DNA coded cells in the human body, the whole, the image of God. Thus, I mean that's not. I don't know how crazy that how schizophrenic that sounded back then, But that's honestly not far from pretty much what everybody agrees on so far, right? Like he just said, like the basically like we are part of a whole, and the whole is God or like the universe or whatever, and we're in that image the same way our DNA is like specifically coded to us, like we're in God's image, which makes sense because the Bible says that too. This philosophy explains mysteries of psychic and supernatural. Oh, thus the biblical statement that man was made in God's image refers to the reflected image of universal consciousness of the macrocosm as it relates to the microcosm. Our reality may be but a dream or image in the mind of a universal deity. We are thus created in an image of God with our frequencies reflected and patterned on universal frequencies. God, as universal consciousness, is a personal God. For what can be more personal than consciousness? Christianity's secret, esoteric teachings are embraced by the church and form a base for its deeper doctrines, interpretations, teachings are embraced by science and religion, must eventually unite as they approach the absolute truth. We seek to spread the merging of the two, speed the merging of the two. We believe that greater truths can only be discovered when we are free to question, doubt, and critically examine our own most cherished beliefs and listen objectively to the beliefs of others. This way, we open ourselves to accelerated learning. We believe God would have no other way. Our practice asks us to teach those who wish to know, heal the sick, reduce the sorrow, suffering, and tragedy in the world, and show by example the force which is creative love. Right above the. Okay, so I guess that's like the introduction, and this is like a dominant species of aliens on Earth. The small grays known as Zeta Reticuli. Zeta Reticuli. What is the correlation between the letter Z and the aliens? Have y'all ever noticed? Like people, I guess like for some reason the letter Z has like a futuristic or like paranormal uh feel to it or something. Because the Scientologist God is named Xenu. I mean, I know it's with an X probably, but it's still the same sound. Zeta Reticuli, named after their home star system near the Orion sector of the sky, have lost the ability to reproduce themselves, but we are in the Orion sector of the sky themselves by cloning, and cloning process leaves each copy a little less worthy than the one before. A copy of a copy of a copy of a copy multiplied by thousands produces copies not nearly as good as the original. The species slowly deteriorates with each new generation. Their only hope is to reverse their deterioration by mixing with the new, younger, more wholesome species such as human beings. They do genetic experiments with human tissues and crossbreeding projects for a way to improve their species' reproductive ability before they become totally clone copied into extinction. Previous cattle mutilation cloning programs did not provide them with suitable solutions to this problem, so they now work with human abductees. And though these greys often tell their abductees that they are gathering human sperms and eggs so that they have so they can save the human race from extinction, this is only a cover story to make the human abductees feel the violations they receive are a worthy cause for a worthy cause, and that they are important to humanity's future survival. A secondary problem for these Zeta Reticuli is that their home planet is deteriorating. So, dang, they got the short end of the stick, huh? Everything's just deteriorating for the Zeta Reticuli. It is nearly all desert now, and they need another habitat. The implications of all this from this one type of alien and the reptoid masters for whom they work will be discussed in the material that follows. Very interesting. I'm not gonna get ahead of myself because I don't actually know. But right out the gate, this sounds very similar. I mean, not exactly similar, like not exactly copy for copy, but this sounds very similar to the Kyle Odom case. And if it gets close, I'll pull that one up and we'll do a comparison. Okay, government cover up. Much is written lately regarding the role of the United States government in the UFO dilemma. Various researchers and writers have found it conveniently easy to center their focus on the issue to the point of designating more importance to this issue than the very question of UFOs themselves. Some maintain the existence of an MJ-12 or other covert government group whose sole focus is to keep knowledge of the subject from the public eye. Others argue that the group's function is to be more involved and that its members are secretly working with the UFO occupants for whatever diabolical reasons. Still others worry that the government has had no choice in the matter. It is totally powerless in the situation and hence has had no choice but to engineer cover up for fear of either alien retaliation or worldwide panic, either of which would be globally disruptive. Some argue that this confused state of affairs may be potentially more dangerous than the existence of the alien presence itself. It could conceivably produce a dangerous set of conditions, mass confusion and disinformation, resulting in nobody being able to believe or trust anyone else, leading to a sort of confused anarchy, if you will. Until recently, such conditions were considered dangerous enough to allow a communist takeover by the Soviet Union. It makes you wonder, like, what this dude, the person that wrote this, always trip out when somebody that has like advanced schizophrenia or like what appears to be advanced schizophrenia, whenever they're like super articulate and focused and concise, like it's like, man, the stuff you're saying is crazy, but you're delivering it with like the exact temperature that a regular person would. So it makes you wonder, what if an alien threat really does exist? As many see it, the Russians are one threat, but if we assume the alien threat is real, then the Russians or any other human group for that matter would be of minor concern. Excuse me. I wonder if this is before or after George Bush's NWO speech. Let's check. What's the date on this? Excuse me. Come on, there's got to be a date. Mm, the date of the day George Bush Sr. gave his infamous New World Order speech. So it's the same year. Uh, can you tell the exact date of this newsletter I'm looking at? Come on. What the freak? Gemini. Possibly. Man, I hate Gemini. That's why I lost my cool the other day and told Gemini off because they're the worst, man. They're terrible. They're terrible. They're talking to the dog. Or they brought a dog over. Man, what the fuck, man? Wow, fucking useless, man. I swear to God, Gemini is fucking useless almost. Okay, where were we at? Okay. Oh, we already read this, didn't we? Okay. This brings us to a point of contention. For whether or not there is a government cover up, one thing seems to override any informed dispute on the subject. This is the matter of the hundreds of thousands, possibly even millions of witnesses and informed citizens, including many credible abductees and informants from government intelligence agencies, who generally contend that UFOs really do exist, that most aliens are untrustworthy and even hostile, and that something must be done to protect humanity from the dangerous ones. Yeah, but my question is that why did abductions stop happening? If aliens are real, why was that phenomenon only happening uh up until the late 90s or like mid 90s? I wonder. Cuz I haven't heard of anybody getting abducted in the longest time. To end with, what little power concerned citizens actually do possess, any quibbling and fighting over the issue of government cover up may well be alienating the very little hope we have. That of the concerted effort of the most powerful government on earth. If this threat is as it appears to be, then human survival may depend on more than just one government to fight this threat. That's what George Bush was saying. Humanity will need combined efforts of every nation on earth. Could this be the real reason for a rush to New World Order? Okay, this had to have been after. Now, as individuals, how can we help the situation if we sit around and squabble over the so called evil intent or are aware of the danger? Surely they are just concerned as we are. And quite possibly, being more informed, they are even more concerned. So why cover up? After all, the very people they are supposed to protect could turn on them like a lynch mob for government treaties and deals made with aliens. A cover up may be as much to cover up governmental involvement with aliens as to hide the fact that aliens exist from people. At this point, even if the government representatives involved in the UFO alliances and treaties were to admit all of their knowledge on the subject of UFOs in hopes of enlisting mass support, all they could really hope for would be that the masses would not try them for treason and string them up in the streets of White Sands, New Mexico. So, at all costs, the role of the people should be to assure the government, military, and otherwise that the threat to the planet and not excuse me, the threat to the planet and not the supposed ineptness or secretiveness of the government is what really matters. The government surely has enough to worry about with untrustworthy aliens. Crazy. The government surely has enough to worry about with untrustworthy aliens who have repeatedly broke their treaties, deceived the world governments, and have shown themselves to be a threat to humanity without having also worried about the wrath of the citizens who have discovered there were alliances between governments and aliens, and then let the aliens gain the hold of Earth. If humanity is to survive this alien threat, the government must be able to trust its citizens, just as the citizens must be able to trust the government. All citizens must be made to realize that we can put aside our petty squabbles and make available to our governments every bit of help we can. This sounds like propaganda, to be real. This sounds like it might have been some secret propaganda, yo. Every theory, every scrap of evidence, every shred of a possible solution that we can drum up must be combined with government organizational skills as well as monetary, political, and military expertise to prevent the ultimate enslavement of this planet by foreigners of the worst kind, those not of Earth. Working together, we can do it. Working against each other, well, is your intergalactic passport up to date? Mine's not, my boy. There are more reports coming in on abductions by manned alien UFOs that prove the aliens are hostile towards humans right now than at any time of my 25 years research. When abducted, the Earth human is subjected to techniques of persuasion, of psychological warfare, behavioral modification techniques, which include electronic microcircuitry implants and advanced brain therapy. This, we understand, is a psychological warfare arm of the network, the name by which the alien alliance is known. Abductee Charles Moody said it's not only just one advanced race that is studying this planet, but a group of them. Further quotes by abduction victims and others. They are ruthless in pursuit of their objectives. But this is very tricky. Like, come on, man. You don't even have the names attached. Like this could have just been completely made up. They treated me like a guinea pig. They weren't as nice as they wanted me to think. They were cold blooded, but they didn't want me to know it. Most of us investigators are working on the theory that there is an underground saucer base in the area. This is fascinating, right? That somebody put this together back in 1990. Like, damn, like like we play on the internet and stuff. That's what we do in our spare time. Like somebody was spending, I bet you they were obsessing over this shit, just combing over every piece of UFO information they could get their hands on. It's fascinating. I'm glad that we were able to stumble across it and show it some appreciation. I have been noticing for some time that the permanent presence of UFOs over the uranium mines. Damn, how do you know where the uranium mines are? Is not a coincidence. Former aviator, diplomat, sailor, soldier, and lawyer and common man all were necessary to LM's scrutiny of our too rapidly growing structure. In a 1977 incident in Ohio, 11 aliens were reported killed in a skirmish, and 11 soldiers killed or injured by laser type weapons. One possibility total war followed by mass landings to destroy our power, enslave the remnant of our people, and colonize the planet. Man, if y'all have ever seen, or if y'all haven't, y'all should check it out. It's a television series called V, where like uh the aliens land, and the aliens ships are huge, man. They all land at the same time, like a coordinated effort too. They land over like a bunch of major cities, and then they start giving the humans like free healthcare, and start like giving them like all these gifts and stuff, and then like after a while I think they turn evil or something. Sorry. Secret Wars. Tracking nemesis. On December 30th, 1983, the orbiting telescope called the Infrared Astronomical Satellite, or IRIS, found a planet the size of Jupiter in the direction of Orion, far beyond our solar system. So mysterious is the object that the astronomers do not know if it is a planet, a nearby protostar that never got hot enough to become a star, or a giant comet. All I can tell you is that we don't know what it is, said Gary Neugebauer, Irish scientist for California's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and of the director of the Palomar Observatory for California Institute of Technology. The giant gaseous planet, which is so cold that it casts no light and has never been seen by optical telescopes on Earth or in space, is 50 trillion miles away. While that may seem like a great distance in earthbound terms, it is a stone's throw in cosmological terms. So close in fact that it is beyond the outermost planet Pluto. The mysterious body was seen twice by Iris satellite as it scanned the northern sky from January to November 1983. When the satellite ran out of the supercold helium that allowed its telescope to see the coldest bodies in the heavens, the second observation took place 6 months after the first and suggested that the mystery body had not moved from its spot aligned in the sky toward the western edge of the constellation Orion. This suggests it's not a comet because the comet would not be as large as the one we've observed, and a comet would probably have moved, said William Erickson, space research and American member of the Iris science team. If it's that close, I don't know how the world's planetary scientists would even begin to classify it. Whatever it is, Hooke said, the mystery body is so cold that its temperature is no more than 40 degrees above absolute zero, which is 459.67 degrees below zero Fahrenheit. The telescope is so sensitive that it can see objects in the heavens that are only 20 degrees above absolute zero. Absolute zero is the temperature in which all matter ceases to exist. It's just nothingness. It's so cold, and there's no kinetic energy, and there's no light, there's no friction, there's no consciousness. Uh, the Iris telescope also discovered what Russ Walker of Jameson Engineering of Palo Alto, California, called a mini planet, 1.3 miles in diameter, circling the sun inside Mercury's orbit, making it in the only body in the solar system to be found that close to the sun. Iris also found that the dying star Betelgeuse is half circled by dust shells that extend out to our 4.5 light years from the Betelgeuse, the brightest star in the constellation of Orion. The dust shells are clearly made of material. You see, how do you how do you balance the fact that this is obviously so crazy? You would imagine whoever wrote this is suffering from some type of schizophrenia or something, but it's very articulate and concise and sourced and all that. It makes you wonder, right? It makes you wonder, like, were they crazy at all? Like, what is unusual is that the rings are only on one side of the star, which suggests what? What? How could a star only have rings on one side? The dust shells are clearly made up of material that was shed by the stars that began to die more than 50,000 years ago, said Harm Haven of the University of Leiden, the Netherlands, from aboard a satellite but made it discover it was built. What is unusual is that the rings are only on one side of the star, which suggests that as the star moves, it leaves the shells behind. That makes no sense at all. Gary Nogebauer of Jet Propulsion Laboratory said this telescope has been so sensitive that we could see a single speck of dust with it at a distance of 2 miles. If you were to put a baseball into orbit over the East Coast, this telescope could pick it up on the West Coast. What? Really? UFOs moving towards. Oh, snap. This post said, are these UFOs moving towards Earth? Then another story came out, a cover up story, and said that this large planet the size of Jupiter could not be seen by any other observatories with telescopes equipped with infrared detectors. In fact, the object was seen in the constellation Ophiuchus, Ophiuchus in the vicinity of the star Van Biesbroek 8 and not in the constellation Orion. In fact, it was nothing more than a huge gas sphere. Case closed. But was it closed or did someone just try to close it? While the discovery of Nemesis stunned scientists, it came as no surprise to famed Scandinavian psychic Sven Peterson. You see, back in the day, dude, I used to be fascinated with stuff like this. Like, I used to dig into this stuff so hard until I realized, bro, like, you're stupid. Because think about it. He's like, oh, they said there's this planet Nemesis, and they said that this planet sends off asteroids to the earth every so often, and blah blah blah. And in his mind, you see, it's the two sides of one coin paradigm presented in a different kind of way. Because he's like, they said that those are asteroids, but it's a conspiracy. I think those are UFOs. I guarantee. And then he goes through all the trouble of learning all this stuff. But it's like, bro, there ain't no asteroids. There ain't no damn nemesis. There ain't no damn, like, that's all. Like, the conspiracy is the fact that all that shit's a fairy tale. And that's my opinion. That's just purely my opinion. For the past 5 years, I've been getting mental impressions of an unseen but enormous planet. Mental impressions? What the fuck? What the fuck is a mental impression? I think he means like remote viewing. I've been getting mental impressions of an unseen but enormous planet mysteriously orbiting on the very fringe of our solar system, Peterson says. With the oh, my bad. He's talking about with the telescope. Oh no, a psychic. The psychic impressions I've been receiving have been frightening, but I've tended to dismiss them because I've accepted scientists' assertions that all the planets in our solar system had been discovered eons ago. Assumptions were valid and they're frightening. Peterson says that Peterson says that the planet is populated by a huge army of space aliens placed there centuries ago. They were transported to the planet over a period of hundreds of years because the incredibly cold temperatures make it possible to keep the alien soldiers in a natural deep freeze until the time comes to invade Earth, Peterson reveals. I wonder I wonder where these people are now that used to say all that. Like, I wonder if their lifespan already has came and went, or if they're still around. Because I'd like to ask them, like, do you still think that they're over there frozen on that planet? They lie there in a state of suspended animation, awaiting the time when their leaders in another galaxy decide to launch their invasion of Earth. My psychic impression is that the aliens are awaiting the time when mankind so weakens itself through warfare and pollution of Earth that it won't be able to offer even token resistance. Well, shit, they're gonna be waiting a long ass time now that we got AI. Shit, that's one of the cool things about AI is that it's like a the ultimate defense system and weapon system against some crazy shit like that. Star Wars, a defense against aliens? Question mark. In 1983, President Ronnie Reagan introduced the world to Star Wars, a defense incoming missiles from Russia, and a cult classic for a movie for nerds. But for some in the UFO field, we're soon to learn SDI was made for incoming hostile spacecraft for outer space. SDI consists of three phases. Phase 1, high endo atmospheric defense interceptor. Phase 2, exo-atmospheric re-entry interceptor subsystem and alternative mid-course interceptor technologies. Phase 3, full-scale development of the GBI, ground-based interceptor. Phase 1, SDI deployment, high-tech kinetic kill machines, a constellation of tiny rocket-powered devices, each 3 feet long and weighing less than 100 pounds, that would independently detect, track, and neutralize incoming saucers. Missiles. Another key to Phase 1 deployment will be the Boost Surveillance Tracking System, an infrared detection satellite that would hand off target data to other SDI elements. Also, it includes a low budget, high duration super satellite using low thrust ion rockets on rockets that could go to the moon and back or orbit the Earth many times before burning out. The 100-pound craft can be fitted with any sensor. Phase 2 SDI deployment, ERIS, killer space based satellites, which includes a space based nuclear power station, which looks like a modular space station. Excuse me, chemical laser sats, railgun sats, particle beam sats, nuclear accelerated weapons like X-ray lasers, and gaser gazer A gamma X-ray laser. Phase 2 SDI deployment. Phase 2 SDI deployment. AMIT shotgun like satellites and 100 more satellites, each holding 150 interceptors ready to launch at mid course incoming saucers missiles. Phase 3 SDI deployment. GBI F 15 launched anti satellite missiles, high altitude advanced stealth cruise missiles, U.S. Army airborne laser jet the size of a 727, laser battle stations, electromagnetic railgun battle stations, one man laser cannons equipped with computer enhanced infrared tracking with detection computer which can see invisible objects with the electrogravitational force field surrounding the craft, producing invisibility. What? What? An electrogravitational force field? That sounds crazy. Uh, neutron particle beam weapons, which can also double as brain scramblers. What in the world? What would a brain scrambler do? You think it would just scramble you for a bit, or you think you'd be permanently scrambled? From my understanding, the Supreme Battle Command Station for all of this is located at the Joint Defense Space Research Facility, JDSRF, at Pine Gap, Australia, in the MacDonald mountain ranges about 12 miles by air from the dead center of Australia. Surface interest 23 degrees 48 minutes south, 133 degrees minutes east. It's a deep underground mountain base. DUMB. Yeah, it's dumb. Some 5.3 miles deep, 28,000 feet down. Operational nav. That has to be cap. I don't even think the let's see if Gemini's working yet. Hold on. I gotta call cap on that. Come on, bro. Piece of shit. Let me check on my phone. I want to see. I don't think there's any way that that's correct because we've only went like very 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 shallow as far as digging into the earth. How deep is the deepest we've dug into the earth surface in feet? Do 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 tonight. Come on, what the hell? I don't want to lose your love tonight. Oh no, 40,000 feet. I stand corrected. We've dug 40,000 feet down. Operational navigation map lists Pine Gap as R233 with a restricted radius of 5 nautical miles. Its original function is to execute research and develop defense technology. The primary responsibility for Pine Gap is DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. I wish this dude just giving us a bunch of speculation. I wish he would tell us about the race of aliens, but I want to go get a snack, so we're gonna have to take a break. Let me see. All right, I'll
0:58 p.m. on April 15th.
Oh, no. The absolute worst time.
Right. You are staring at your laptop screen. Your heart is literally pounding in your chest, and your breathing is super shallow. You're frantically trying to click through tax software before the clock strikes midnight, and you are just sweating through your shirt.
Yeah, the classic adrenaline panic.
Exactly. Or, maybe it's not something with a massive hard deadline. Maybe it's just like random Tuesday afternoon and you're trying to look at your app. Yeah, but you're not. You've got like one eye closed. You're literally squinting through your fingers because actually perceiving the numbers on the screen feels physically painful.
It's a literal threat response.
Yes, it induces this visceral fight or flight thing, or, and I think this is perhaps the most common one of all, you're sitting on your couch, completely and utterly paralyzed by a task as profoundly simple as, like, unloading the dishwasher.
Dishwasher paralysis.
Yes. And meanwhile, society, your family, and worst of all, your own internal monologue is just loudly and aggressively labeling what you're doing as procrastination.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there trapped in your own body, watching yourself not do the thing you know you need to do.
It's a very heavy, intensely isolating kind of exhaustion.
Hmm.
So conditioned to view these moments of paralysis, deep moral failures.
Right. Like you're just a bad person for not doing the dishes.
Exactly. The immediate thought process is usually some variation of, if I just had a little more discipline, if I just cared enough, if I just finally bought that expensive leather-bound daily planner I saw on Instagram, I would be a functioning adult and this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, the magical planner that's going to fix everything.
Right. But we internalize the friction as a character flaw.
So if you are listening to this right now and you have experienced that specific crushing weight, we want to tell you right out of the gate, you are not irresponsible, you are not broken, and you are not lazy.
No, not at all.
What is highly likely is that you are operating on a system, like a societal framework, that was absolutely fundamentally not built for your neurological architecture.
Changing that narrative is really the core shift in perspective we're taking. We are putting the entire architecture of adulthood under a microscope.
Yeah, we're tearing it down a bit.
We really are. We're looking at the frameworks we're told we absolutely use to succeed: the 9-to-5 schedule, the linear career paths, daily habit trackers, and examining who they were actually built for, and more importantly, who they actively exclude.
So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how current traditional systems help, or as we're going to see, severely hinder neurodivergent individuals. And we aren't just going to admire the problem here.
No, we need solutions.
Right. We're going to explore the concrete, highly specific alternative options available for those who are struggling. Pulling from a really fascinating stack of sources today. We're looking at a collection of premium neurodivergent-centered operating systems, guides, and workbooks created by a company called Exec Function.
It's crucial to contextualize what these materials actually are because, I mean, they aren't your standard run-of-the-mill productivity manuals.
No 5 a.m. club stuff here.
Exactly. They don't preach the gospel of waking up at 5 a.m., taking a freezing ice bath, and drinking a green smoothie to conquer your day. These are forensic diagnostic frameworks. They were engineered from the ground up by and specifically for ADHD, autistic, and neurodivergent minds.
Which is such a refreshing angle.
It is. They treat the neurodivergent experience not as a deficit to be cured, but as a unique operating system that just
Yo, yo, yo. My bad. My bad, guys. My system crashed there for a minute. Be right back up and running. Give me one sec. I am getting something to eat though, so that's why I'm letting y'all listen to the podcast. So I will be back.
11:58 p.m. on April 15th.
Oh, no. The absolute worst time.
Right. You are staring at your laptop screen. Your heart is literally pounding in your chest, and your breathing is super shallow. You're frantically trying to click through tax software before the clock strikes midnight, and you are just sweating through your shirt.
Yeah, the classic adrenaline panic.
Exactly. Or, maybe it's not something with a massive hard deadline. Maybe it's just like a random Tuesday afternoon and you're trying to look at your banking app.
Just checking the balance.
Yeah, but you're not actually looking at it. You've got like one eye closed. You're literally squinting through your fingers because actually perceiving the numbers on the screen feels physically painful.
It's a literal threat response.
Yes, it induces this visceral fight or flight thing, or, and I think this is perhaps the most common one of all, you're sitting on your couch, completely and utterly paralyzed by a task as profoundly simple as, like, unloading the dishwasher.
Dishwasher paralysis.
Yes. And meanwhile, society, your family, and worst of all, your own internal monologue is just loudly and aggressively labeling what you're doing as procrastination.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there trapped in your own body, watching yourself not do the thing you know you need to do.
It's a very heavy, intensely isolating kind of exhaustion.
Hmm.
We are so culturally conditioned to view these moments of paralysis as, deep moral failures.
Right. Like you're just a bad person for not doing the dishes.
Exactly. The immediate thought process is usually some variation of, if I just had a little more discipline, if I just cared enough, if I just finally bought that expensive leather-bound daily planner I saw on Instagram, I would be a functioning adult and this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, the magical planner that's going to fix everything.
Right. But we internalize the friction as a
Okay.
character flaw.
So if you are listening to this right now and you have experienced that specific crushing weight, we want to tell you right out of the gate, you are not irresponsible, you are not broken, and you are not lazy.
No, not at all.
What is highly likely is that you are operating on a system, like a societal framework, that was absolutely fundamentally not built for your neurological architecture.
Changing that narrative is really the core shift in perspective we're taking today. We are putting the entire architecture of adulthood under microscope.
Yeah, we're tearing it down a bit.
We really are. We're looking at the frameworks we're told we absolutely must use to succeed: the 9-to-5 schedule, the linear career paths, daily habit trackers, and examining who they were actually built for, and more importantly, who they actively exclude.
So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how current traditional systems help, or as we're going to see, severely hinder neurodivergent individuals. And we aren't just going to like admire the problem here.
No, we need solutions.
Right. We're going to explore the concrete, highly specific alternative options available for those who are struggling. And to do this, we're pulling from a really fascinating stack of sources today. We're looking at a collection of premium neurodivergent-centered operating systems, guides, and workbooks created by a company called Exec Function.
It's crucial to contextualize what these materials actually are because, they aren't your standard run-of-the-mill productivity manuals.
No 5 a.m. club stuff here.
Exactly. They don't preach the gospel of waking up at 5 a.m., taking a freezing ice bath, and drinking a green smoothie to conquer your day. These are forensic diagnostic frameworks. They were engineered from the ground up by and specifically for ADHD, autistic, and neurodivergent minds.
Which is such a refreshing angle.
It is. They treat the neurodivergent experience not as a deficit to be cured, but as a unique operating system that just requires compatible software.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the foundational thesis of this entire body of work requires a total paradigm shift. The thesis is simply, the problem isn't your brain. The problem is the system.
Right.
The sources argue that current traditional systems, our financial tools, corporate structures, standard methods of planning a week, are exclusively built for neurotypical brains.
Really, we kind of have to expose their underlying unspoken assumptions.
Okay, lay it on me. What are they assuming?
Well, traditional systems are built on one massive, invisible premise, and that is that human capacity is relatively
Linear meaning.
meaning the traditional world assumes that with sufficient motivation, you can meet your commitments consistently, day in and day out, outputting the exact same amount of energy on a Wednesday as you did on a Monday.
Okay, I'm looking at this premise, and I kind of want to push back on it just a little bit, just for the sake of argument.
Sure, go for it.
Because right now, a listener might be thinking, doesn't everyone struggle with consistency sometimes? I mean, literally nobody is an actual robot. Everyone gets tired. Everyone has an off week. So what makes this a distinctly neurodivergent experience rather than just the universal human struggle to stay on top of adult responsibilities?
That is a great question. And what's fascinating here is the underlying neurobiology that separates a standard off day from a neurodivergent capacity crash.
Okay, so it's not just being sleepy.
No, the sources point out that this isn't about character, willpower, or even just being tired. It's about a structural difference in the brain's machinery. Specifically, we're talking about executive function.
The brain's management system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Executive function is the brain's CEO. It's a complex set of mental skills governed by the prefrontal cortex that manage things like working memory, time awareness, emotional regulation, and critically, task initiation.
So if the prefrontal cortex is the CEO, it's like, okay, imagine your brain is a world-class orchestra.
I like this. Okay.
It's not that the violins, which would be your actual skills and talents, are broken. And it's not that the cellos, your intentions and desires, are out of tune. They're all sitting in their chairs, instruments ready, desperate to play the symphony.
Oh, yeah.
But the conductor, the executive function, has completely walked off the stage. Or maybe they're just facing the wrong direction. So you just have silence, even though every single musician desperately wants to play.
That is an incredibly accurate way to visualize it. Research consistently shows that in neurodivergent brains, particularly those with ADHD or autism, this prefrontal cortex communication network is structurally and chemically different.
So the conductor isn't doing it on purpose.
Right. The conductor isn't ignoring the orchestra out of spite. The communication pathways just operate on an entirely different frequency. Take the dopamine-driven attention system, for example.
Oh, hyperfocus.
Exactly. A neurodivergent individual might hyperfocus intensely on a passion project, effectively conducting a brilliant symphony for 14 hours straight, but then completely lack the chemical momentum to initiate a mundane task like opening a piece of mail.
Wow. From a 14-hour symphony to not being able to open an envelope.
Yes. It is a literal neurological gap between knowing what to do and having the brain reliably execute the motor and cognitive steps to do it.
Meaning when a teacher or a parent or a boss says, you are so smart, you just need to apply yourself, they're fundamentally misunderstanding the machinery they're critiquing.
They're yelling at the violins.
Exactly. They are yelling at the violins, but the violins aren't the problem.
The knowledge is there. The intention is there. The execution mechanism is simply misaligned with an environment that demands linear, predictable output. For these populations, capacity is dynamic. It is variable.
It changes day to day.
Hour to hour, even.
Yep.
It is highly sensitive to external conditions like sensory input, emotional load, and interest levels. And the real tragedy is that this variability is entirely invisible to standard planning systems.
Which brings us to the inevitable fallout. Because when you take a dynamic, variable capacity human being and force them into a rigid, stable capacity system, the sources describe a phenomenon called the boom-bust cycle.
Right, the boom and the bust.
Because the neurodivergent brain is capable of incredible intensity, you enter a period of incredibly high output, but that's the boom. You hit a state of hyperfocus, you write a month's worth of code in 3 days, your entire house is spotless.
You feel like a superhero.
You do, but it's totally unsustainable. It is followed by an inevitable system-crashing burnout, the bust.
The bust is a physiological necessity at that point. I mean, the brain has depleted its neurotransmitter reserves and requires a massive recovery period.
But the world doesn't care that you need recovery.
Exactly. Because the individual is operating within a traditional system that demands daily linear progress, that recovery period is penalized. You fall behind, you feel guilty, you get stressed.
It sounds like we've been handing people with electric cars a map of gas stations.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
And when their car inevitably stalls out on the side of the highway because they couldn't find a charging port, we just blame the driver for not trying hard enough to put unleaded fuel in their battery. The infrastructure simply does not match the vehicle.
And this leads us perfectly into the concept of the capacity paradox, which is heavily detailed in one of the materials called the Neurospecific Business OS. The capacity paradox fundamentally challenges basically everything modern productivity culture teaches us about goal setting and achievement.
Let's really dive into that because traditional systems are absolutely obsessed with the perfect day. You read literally any self-help book, and they tell you to look at your most productive days and simply replicate them.
The copy-paste method of success.
Yeah, the logic is I woke up early last Tuesday, worked out, crushed my inbox by 9 a.m., cooked a healthy dinner, and read a chapter of a book. If I just do that every single day, I'll be unstoppable. It preaches this absolute, unwavering gospel of daily consistency.
Right, but for a neurodivergent brain, the sources are incredibly blunt. They say consistency is a myth.
A myth that's huge.
It is a myth and it is a trap. Traditional productivity advice frames consistency as the only valid path to success, but the exec function materials argue that intensity is an equally valid, structurally distinct path.
Intensity over consistency.
Yes, but here's the paradox. If you plan your life or your business based on your hyper-focus capacity, if you build a schedule that assumes you will always operate at that peak Tuesday morning efficiency, you're building a structure that is mathematically guaranteed to collapse.
Because the hyperfocus always has a cost. The sources note that the biological toll of that 3-day burst of intensity is a subsequent period of mandatory rest.
The bust.
The bust. So if your schedule or your business model or your household management system demands daily forward motion, that mandatory rest period suddenly looks like a failure. It looks like you just dropped the ball, which triggers the shame spiral, which then further depletes your executive function. It's a nightmare.
The alternative proposed by these sources is really radical, especially in our kind of hustle culture world. They advise that you do not plan for your best day.
Okay, so what do you plan for?
You must plan for your lowest energy state.
Yeah.
You plan for the shutdown.
Designing an architecture for the worst case scenario, I mean, that feels super counterintuitive. If I plan for my worst day, aren't I just setting a ridiculously low bar for myself? Aren't I basically guaranteeing I won't achieve much?
It definitely feels counterintuitive until you look at the actual mechanics of failure. The business strategy alternative they offer explains this beautifully. You have to design the architecture of your workflow so that if you have weeks where your output is literally zero, the business or your life still holds together.
Output is zero, but the wheels don't fall off.
Exactly. You have to ruthlessly eliminate unnecessary friction and dependencies. They label any strategy or marketing plan that requires daily consistency to survive as a fragile strategy.
A fragile strategy. That phrase hits hard. If your entire life system breaks the second you get a migraine, or the second your executive function dips, or your child gets sick. Wait. It's bonus motion.
Yes, bonus motion. You are advancing rapidly, but you aren't relying on that rapid advancement just to keep the lights on.
I really want you, the listener, right now, to think about your own personal graveyard of failed planners.
We all have one.
We absolutely all have one. The beautiful, super expensive leather-bound notebooks with all the dates neatly filled out in, like color-coded ink for the first 2 weeks of January, and then they are completely blank by February 12th.
It's depressing to look at.
It is. You probably looked at that blank planner and thought, I failed again. But looking at the capacity paradox, were you actually failing? Or was the strategy you were trying to use simply too fragile for a dynamic, variable capacity brain?
It's a profound reframing. It moves the blame from the individual's character directly to the design of the system itself. I mean, if a bridge collapses every time a heavy truck drives over it, we don't blame the truck for being heavy.
No, we blame the bridge.
We blame the engineer who designed a bridge that couldn't handle variable weight loads.
So if traditional linear planning is a fragile system that leads to the boom-bust cycle and eventual burnout, what is the alternative option? Like, if we throw out the sequential to-do list, which feels absolutely terrifying, by the way, what on earth replaces it?
This is where the sources introduce a really fascinating alternative framework, and they call it the constellation method.
Okay, let's break down the constellation method because traditional to-do lists are the ultimate linear system. They are the definition of step 1, step 2, step 3.
Linear lists fail the neurodivergent brain specifically because they demand sequential execution. So imagine a standard to-do list. Let's say step 1 is a task that carries a very high cognitive load, or maybe it triggers some underlying anxiety.
Like calling the IRS.
Exactly. Perhaps it's calling a government office to sort out a tax issue. What happens to the brain in that exact moment?
The conductor walks off the stage, executive dysfunction freeze, you hit an absolute brick wall.
And because it's a linear list, a set sequence, if task 1 stalls, the entire pipeline stalls. You cannot mentally allow yourself to move to task 2 because task 1 is actively blocking the doorway.
You're just stuck staring at the doorway.
Right, so the constellation method replaces this top-to-bottom rigidity with a visual spatial map.
Like actual stars in the sky.
The constellation has no definitive top or bottom, no strict beginning or end. It's just a collection of points that form a complete picture, regardless of the order in which you draw the lines between the stars.
Okay, I'm trying to visualize applying this to a real project, like maybe launching a small business website. In a traditional linear list, step 1 is write the homepage copy. Step 2 is design the logo. Step 3 is set up hosting.
A very standard approach.
Yeah. But if I can't find the words for the homepage today, my linear list says I am blocked, I fail for the day. But wait, how does anything actually get finished in a constellation? If everything is just a star floating in space, doesn't throwing out the sequence just invite total chaos?
It sounds chaotic, but the brilliance of the constellation method is that it swaps arbitrary sequencing for energy matching.
Energy matching.
Right. When you sit down to work, you don't start at the top because there is no top. You survey the constellation of required tasks and you pick the one that matches what your brain's current capacity can handle in that exact moment.
I see. Okay. So I'm looking at my website project constellation. I know I absolutely cannot write that high cognitive load homepage copy today.
Yeah.
My brain is just refusing to generate words.
The conductor is gone.
Gone. Instead of freezing and spending the next 4 hours scrolling on my phone in a total shame spiral, I scan the map. I see another star like purchase the domain name or organize the font files into a folder.
Low-lift tasks.
Exactly. Those are low cognitive load tasks. They don't require deep creative thought. They basically just require clicking buttons. I can do that. Both the homepage copy and the font organization are stars in the constellation. By doing the low-energy task, I'm still technically moving the project forward.
And that is the key. It entirely bypasses the paralysis of the bottleneck. There is no next step blocking the way, just an array of available options. You're working with your brain's current capacity instead of fighting a losing battle against it.
This philosophy is heavily reflected in another phenomenal resource from the stack, the Bare Minimum Planner.
Yes. The manifesto in that planner is a radical departure from traditional self-improvement literature. It states explicitly, doing the minimum is still doing something. And that's enough.
That's enough. That takes so much pressure off.
It is a structural framework designed specifically for burnout survivors, giving them permission to just exist on days when capacity is negligible.
It provides highly practical alternatives for when the brain is spinning or totally overwhelmed. Instead of writing a massive list of aspirations, it gives you these emergency escape valves.
Like what?
Things like a rapid brain dump on scrap paper just to get the static out of your head, or a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding exercise, or literally just closing your 80 open browser tabs.
The browser tabs, that's a big one.
Huge. Or, and this is my favorite, giving yourself permission to pick just 3 tasks for the entire day. If you do those 3, you win. The day is a success.
It also addresses the other end of the spectrum, which is equally important. If you are locked in a hyper-focused state and you desperately need to stop to go to sleep or eat, it offers workarounds.
Because stopping hyperfocus is painful.
It really is. So they suggest things like leaving a breadcrumb note for yourself. You write down exactly what you were thinking and what the very next micro step is, so your brain trusts it won't lose the thread if you step away.
Oh, that's smart.
It's a system that meets you exactly where your neurochemistry is today, not where an idealized neurotypical version of you should be.
But this raises a really dark, difficult question which the sources don't shy away from. What happens when even the constellation method doesn't work?
When it all falls apart.
Yeah. What happens when the energy matching fails, the bare minimum feels like a mountain, and the brain completely and utterly refuses to initiate any task at all?
When the battery is completely dead and the engine has seized, the sources provide a dedicated urgent resource for this exact scenario called the Executive Dysfunction Emergency Response System.
And they open the section with a pretty crazy statistic.
Yes. They introduced this section with a staggering, validating statistic. 94% of neurodivergent adults experience task initiation freeze.
94%. I really want that to land for you listening right now. If you are experiencing this freeze, if you are sitting on the couch unable to move, you are the overwhelming majority.
You are not a defective outlier.
Exactly. You are experiencing a primary symptom of your neurobiology.
Task initiation failure is arguably the most debilitating functional domain for neurodivergent adults. As we discussed with the orchestra analogy, from the outside, it just looks like procrastination. It looks defiant.
Like you're just refusing to help out.
Right. But internally, the neural bridge between conceptualizing a task and initiating the motor and cognitive sequence to begin it has essentially collapsed.
The manual describes the internal experience so accurately. It notes that planning and organization difficulties aren't failures of intelligence or vision, they are failures of translation.
Translation, I love that word for this.
Because you know exactly what a clean kitchen looks like. You know exactly why PM.
My bad. I'm here. I'm just eating, and it sounds pretty interesting. What reason, Penelope? Can you tell me?
On April 15th.
Oh, no. The absolute worst time.
Right. You are staring at your laptop screen. Your heart is literally pounding in your chest. And you're...
I'm not even playing smart. How am I playing smart? What do I do that would qualify me as smart? Eating barbecue chip sandwiches?
breathing is super shallow. You're frantically trying to click through tax software before the clock strikes midnight, and you are just sweating through your shirt.
Yeah, the classic adrenaline panic.
Exactly. Or, maybe it's not something with a massive hard deadline. Maybe it's just like a random Tuesday afternoon and you're trying to look at your banking app.
Just checking the balance.
Yeah, but you're not actually looking at it. You've got like one eye closed. You're literally squinting through your fingers because actually perceiving the numbers on the screen feels physically painful.
It's a literal threat response.
Yes, it induces this visceral fight or flight thing, or, and I think this is perhaps the most common one of all, you're sitting on your couch, completely and utterly paralyzed by a task as profoundly simple as, like, unloading the dishwasher.
Dishwasher paralysis.
Yes. And meanwhile, society, your family, and worst of all, your own internal monologue is just loudly and aggressively labeling what you're doing as procrastination.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there trapped in your own body, watching yourself not do the thing you know you need to do.
It's a very heavy, intensely isolating kind of exhaustion.
Hmm.
We are so culturally conditioned to view these moments of paralysis as, deep moral failures.
Right. Like you're just a bad person for not doing the dishes.
Exactly. The immediate thought process is usually some variation of, if I just had a little more discipline, if I just cared enough, if I just finally bought that expensive leather-bound daily planner I saw on Instagram, I would be a functioning adult and this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, the magical planner that's going to fix everything.
Right. But we internalize the friction as a character flaw.
So if you are listening to this right now and you have experienced that specific crushing weight, we want to tell you right out of the gate, you are not irresponsible, you are not broken, and you are not lazy.
No, not at all.
What is highly likely is that you are operating on a system, like a societal framework, that was absolutely fundamentally not built for your neurological architecture.
Changing that narrative is really the core shift in perspective we're taking. Contextualize what these materials...
Man, that sandwich was good. That sandwich was A1. Let's get back to the content, though. I gotta find it again. Okay, my bad. I had to find where I had that website hidden. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, where were we? Right, right here. Damn it! My bad. I'm playing again. I'm playing Gin Rummy, and I'm trying to win real quick so I can hurry up and get back to reading. But I lost a hand. I'm hurrying now. Oh, I just died in your arms tonight. It must have been something you said. Oh, I just died in your arms tonight. It must have been a chicken head. Oh, I just died in your arms tonight. It must have been a chicken head. Skadoo boop, badoo boop, boop, skadoo doop, badoo doop. Oh no! Oh no! Man, there's only a few things in this world, yo. There's only a few things in this world that that I just can't even be touched at. Like literally like that can't touch this. Ding, 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 ding. Like I'm so cold. Like damn, it's so cold. Dang, it's so throwed. Somebody grab the wheel. I can't see the road. At Madden, if y'all know what Madden is, Madden, spades, dominoes, and gin rummy. I cannot be beat. I cannot be beat. I have searched the world far and wide for somebody that could beat me in one of those games, and it don't exist. I be giving my homies a complex over how bad they get whooped at Madden. Oh, I just died in your arms tonight. It must have been a chicken head. Boo, da, boo, doo, 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 doo. Lying in my plastic bed, thinking how things weren't so cool. My baby likes to shoot pool. I like lying naked in my bedroom, tying on that dinosaur. Tonight, it used to be so cool, but now I've got the needle, and I can't change, and I can't breathe. Take it away, but I want more and more. One day I'm gonna lose the war. Lying in my plastic bed, thinking how things weren't so cool. You, my baby likes to shoot pool. I like lying naked in my bedroom, tying on that dinosaur. Tonight, It used to be so cool, but now I've got the needle and I can't shake it and I can't breathe. I take it away, but I want more and more. One day I'm gonna lose the war. There's a steel train coming through, and I will take it if I can. And I would not lie to you because the Sunday morning sun will come and things would be so much easier to say upon the microphone like a boss DJ. But I won't walk up upon the scene like it was jumping. A boss DJ ain't nothing but a man. No trouble, no fuss. I know why. It's so nice. I wanna hear the same song twice. Hey DJ, now don't stop the music. Cause I wanna know that you feel the same way too. Yeah, I'm just chilling, man. Like really? I'm just chilling. Had that one had that one incident a second ago. I don't know if y'all seen that. But I'm no longer gonna be engaging in that stuff, man. Like at all. So like whole new way of handling all that is is just to slow down, slow all the way down to a stop if I have to. If my views gotta go all the way to zero and I just have to stop and remind myself that everybody's entitled to their opinion and someone else's opinion is not my business, right? You got your hair perm. You got your red dress on. Screaming that second gear was such a turn on. And the fog forming on my window tells me that the morning's here and you'll be gone before too long. Who taught you those new tricks? Damn, I shouldn't start that talk. But life is one big question when you're staring at the clock, and the answer's always waiting at the liquor store for the ounces to freedom. So I take that walk, and I know the no, I ain't going back. No, I ain't going back. No, God knows I ain't going. Well, you look so fine. When you lie, just don't show. But I know which way the wind blows. A 40 ounce of freedom is the only chance I have to feel good, even though I feel bad. And I know that no, I'm not going back. Down in Mississippi, where the sun beats down from the sky, where they give it up and they give it up and they give it up, but they never ask why. Daddy was a rolling stone. Oh, he rolled away one day and he never came home. It ain't hard to understand. This ain't Hitler's master plan. What it takes to be a man. Cause in my mind, in my brain, I'm rolling over like a steering freight train. It ain't hard to ascertain. You only see what you want to believe. Line up in the back, you got tricks up your sleeve. 24/7 double best friends and a same friend, that same in the end. Okay, I'm trying to finish this. I'm sorry, guys. I know, man. I'm sorry. I'm trying to finish this game. But it's like four hands back to back to back. Like, damn, how many hands? How many hands you want me to have, man? You figure deal me. You figure deal me. Yeah, you figured me. You figured me. You figured me, right? Yeah, you figured me. Doot, 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 doot. Oh, gin, sucker, gin. Man, I'm so cold on this gin. I might as well be a gin. I might as well be a slim gin. I might as well be a engine. I might as well be a Jenny Gin Gin. I'm so cold at this gin shit, yo. I can't be effed with. I mean, shit. I don't know if y'all ever played gin rummy, but you don't want to play with me. You don't want to play with me. I'll blow your doors clean off. I'll blow your wig cap right off your head. You be looking like Resto out here. You do not want to play no gin with the blizzy. As I was walking down Rubber Dub Square, do. Not a chill to the weather, but a lift to the air, do. From another direction, she was calling my eye. It could be an illusion, but I might as well try. I might as well try. She wore rings on her fingers and bells on her shoes. Do. I knew without asking she was into the blues. Do. She wore scarlet begonias tucked into her curls. I knew right away she was not like other girls, not like other girls. It was a summer of love, and I think the stars above because the woman took a loving over me, and just to get her trust about our microbus because I sold up more personal property. I tied that dress, it was a psychedelic mess. We toured to the north, south, east, and west. We sold so much from tea, we sold so much to see. We sold nitrous opium oxide, heroin, and PCP, and now I hear the police coming after me. Yes, now I hear the police coming after me. The one Scarlet with the flowers in her hair, she's got the police coming after me. Well, there ain't nothing wrong with the way she moves. Do. All scarlet begonias and a touch of the blues. Do. And there ain't nothing wrong with the love that's in her eye. I had to learn the hard way just to let her pass by. Let her pass by. Do. We took this trip to Garden Grove. Smelled like Blue Dog inside the van. Oh yeah. This ain't no funky reggae party. $5 at the door. It gets so real sometimes. Who wrote my rhyme? I got the microwave, got the VCR. I got the deuce in the trunk of my car. Oh yeah, if you only knew all the love that I found. It's hard to keep my soul on the ground. It's you. It's that shit stuck under my shoe. It's that smell inside the van. It's my bed sheets covered in sand. Sitting through a shitty band. Getting hassled by the man. Getting dog shit on my hand. Waking up to an alarm. Sticking needles in your arm. Picking up trash in the freeway. Feeling depressed every day. Saying I'm happy when I'm not. Finding roaches in the pot. Oh, all these things I do. Here waiting for you. Boom, dum, 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 dum. All right. Okay, I won. All right, score Blizzy 1. Everybody else 0. Now let's get back to this alien shiz. Dang, we've covered quite a bit. I want to get to where they describe the aliens. Yeah, let's skip ahead because they got like multiple additions. Humanity's origin. Excuse me. Let's check this out. Or you know what? You know what? What might be? What might be? More more streamlined. Check this out. Check this out. My Nizzy. This okay. If you ever heard of what is that place called? Like Russia. It's like Russia. Um, what is the main place in Russia? Moscow. Moscow. This happened in Moscow, Idaho. Check this out. So like we're jumping. I'm skipping around because this is shorter than all this other stuff. But tell me if it doesn't kind of ring similar. This is Kyle Odom. Let me give you a brief rundown of what his story is. Or now you'll be able to tell through the manifesto. Check it out. Kyle Odom wrote this. Come on, what happened? Okay, here we go. Who is Kyle Odom? Born and raised in North Idaho, grew up in a loving family, joined the Marine Corps after high school, developed an interest in science, went to school for a degree in biochemistry, won numerous scholarships and awards, graduated magna cum laude, then got invited to prestigious university to work on genetics. Check my personal documents. As you can see, I'm pretty smart and I'm also 100% sane. Now remember that. And this is so interesting to me because what are I mean not what are the chances, but I mean just how wild that this dude was like one of the leading young minds in genetics. He was gonna work in the field of genetics. My life was ruined by an intelligent species of amphibian humanoids from Mars. I wish I was joking. Keep reading. They were here and people died over this. Like, this is real. There's nothing fake about this. This is a real manifesto. Uh, they were here long before we ever existed. Their technology is millions of years more advanced than ours. I've seen them do things that defy all comprehension. They have a massive breeding stock of humans, which they breed to control from birth. They use these humans to live vicarious lives amongst us. They appear to be completely normal because they're good at imitating human behavior. See Martian technology for explanation on this. See that's like that. Doesn't that sound familiar, or doesn't that sound kind of similar to what the other one was saying about the endless clones? The actual Martians live deep underground here and inside of the moon. And what did the other ones say? That they lived over there on planet Nemesis because it was so cold, right? They take control of wild human beings and use them as sex slaves. Don't believe me? Ask President Obama to take the lie to That's crazy how he's like, ask Obama. Crazy. They tried to take me, but they were unable to control my mind. They have been following me ever since. I tried everything to get my life back. I begged, I bargained, I threatened. Everything I tried to do was sabotage. I attempted suicide twice, but they stopped me both times. My last resort was to take actions that would bring this to the public's attention. My story. Excuse me. Everything started while I was at the University of Idaho. Spring 2014 was my final semester, and I was taking a heavy course load. I was very stressed due to the intensity of my schedule, so I searched a way to cope. I discovered meditation, which seemed to help, so it became part of my daily routine. As I learned more about meditation, I became interested in consciousness and our ability to affect it. I kept working on my meditation techniques and began achieving extreme states of consciousness. This continued until I encountered another being through meditation. It happened one night in February 2014. And this is a Marine. A Marine that graduated with honors, had all kinds of scholarships, and won all kinds of awards and all that. Like, this is not a dummy. uh, this continued until I encountered another human being through meditation. It happened one night in February 2014, and it was the most profound experience I've ever had. I was lying in bed meditating, and then suddenly I felt no. Then suddenly I left my physical body. I entered a space that was completely dark and had no awareness of my physical boundaries slash orientation. I felt very peaceful there until a blue light began to approach me. As the blue light got closer, I realized it was another being. Once I was in the being's presence, I felt an immediate sense of wrongdoing. It felt like I was being told, "You shouldn't be here." I instantly conceded and felt guilty. Then I began to distance myself from the being. This had an impact on them and seemed to change their mind about me. The moment I began to distance myself from the being, I became overwhelmed by a feeling I can only describe as unconditional love. During this part of the experience, our minds became connected, and I saw that being was female. I then began to feel the most euphoric, comforting, and blissful feelings I've ever felt. It was incredibly powerful and life altering. Next thing I knew, I woke up, I had tears in my eyes, and I couldn't get out of bed. I felt a profound sense of loss, like I had just lost somebody close to me. It was very painful. A few minutes later, the experience left my mind against my will, and I went about my day. After that, I had no urge to meditate at all. Every time I even thought about meditation, the thought was stripped from my mind. When I finally I want y'all to pay attention, because I want to talk about, like, when I get through all of it, like, I want to talk about what could have, like, what could have happened from a scientific perspective? Like what could have actually really gone on here? Um, I didn't think much of it at the time, but I knew I wasn't going to. Oh, when I finally did try meditating again, I was able to achieve anything. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I knew it wasn't going to improve. Ultimately, I decided to give up on meditation and just focus on my classes. The remainder of the semester became exceedingly easy for me. I felt like I had tapped into some kind of power. I was exerting no mental effort, even though the classes had been extremely difficult before. I also began to have complex thoughts and a depth of understanding that I had never reached before. About a month later, I started interviewing at the graduate schools that I had applied to. Shortly after the interviews were done, I started receiving offers. I decided to accept the offer from Baylor College of Medicine to work on a PhD in human genetics. See, like, or not, I mean, I guess, like, I don't want to say, I don't want to say, like, ironic or I would say implying thing, but isn't it rather odd? Because genetics is like probably like other than like AI, like genetics is one of the most important fields in in our whole existence, especially at this time period. Um, uh, about a month later, okay. I was very excited about the opportunity to work in university. The future looked bright, and I couldn't wait to get started. Everything changed once I started the program. The moment I arrived, I could see flaws in every professor's research. My mind was so expanded that I could instantly understand the implications of entire research projects. Because of this, I was able to see weaknesses in all the available projects. This caused me to become very concerned about what I was doing, and I felt like I was wasting my time. I voiced my concerns to my advisor, and he casually brushed them aside. He told me, just have fun, it'll be fun. I kept trying to get motivated, but things continued to get worse. I started seeing flaws in the foundations of genetics and other fields. It got to the point where I couldn't stop thinking about them. To make things worse, no one seemed to care, which really bothered me. All these issues made it impossible for me to continue, so I decided to leave. The day after I decided to leave, my life became a living hell. I couldn't sleep, my mind felt sapped. I was entirely at peace with my decision, so I knew something strange was happening to me. After a few days of this, two of the graduate students began reaching out to me, blank and blank. I barely knew them, so it seemed unusual that they would contact me. When I went to see them, they both kept pointing their fingers at me, saying pew pew, like they were shooting a gun. They did this over and over and over, and I kept wondering what their problem was. Months after I left Houston, I was told that blank and blank were not human. They were tasked with making me into the next school shooter, as they called it. I imagine this is why many of our school shootings take place. Now, like I said, just make for anybody who is watching or anybody who's watching on replay or whatever, make a mental note of this stuff because I want to, when we're done reading it, I want to go back through because like this is an intelligent, articulate guy, and he's not joking. This is a real manifesto, and he really went and tried to like murk some people over this shit. So he believed that this experience happened. Like this is what he experienced in his mind. So like what could the reality be? Like if he was just like uh not like right in his head for a minute, what could the reality be? Like especially with things like that, with like people going pew pew, pointing their finger like it's not like people just do that in life, you know? Hang on one second. Okay. Anyway, things slowly improved after I stopped talking with blank and blank. Hold on. Okay, my bad. I had something in my teeth. Uh, Things slowly after improved after I stopped talking with Blink and Blank, but I was mentally exhausted. I tried to figure out what to do with my life, but I could hardly think. Eventually, I left Texas and started applying for jobs all over the country. A few months later, things took a strange turn. In spring 2015, I finally secured an interview with the food company. I thought I was about to get something going with my life, but I was wrong. I couldn't sleep at all the night before my interview. I literally stayed awake the entire night, which had never happened to me before. I looked unrecognizable in the mirror the next morning, and my mind felt sapped worse than it had in Houston. Needless to say, the interview didn't go well. I couldn't think, and I had extreme difficulty with normal conversation. After the interview was over, I suddenly felt fine and looked perfectly normal. I slept great that night, then made my way to the airport the next morning. This is where the story gets weird. On the plane ride back home, my seat was taken. I asked the flight attendant, and she directed me to a new seat. Once I sat down, an older gentleman in front of me kept glancing back until he got my attention. As he kept looking back, my head began to hurt and tingle. The moment my head began to hurt, his lips curled up into this evil looking smile. The pain and tingling in my head continued for the rest of the flight and got more intense as time went on. Every time I felt it, the man would start taking notes in a notepad. About halfway through the flight, someone else in front of me held up a newspaper that said psychic reading for like 5 minutes straight. It was blatantly obvious that they were doing something to me, but I didn't know what. Once we landed, the older gentleman kept showing me his track phone as if to say, get one of these. I had applied to several government agencies before this happened, so I thought this might be their way of contacting me. Out of curiosity, I decided to go buy a track phone. I checked it every day to see if anyone messaged or called. About a month later, I got a text message from a man named John Padula. He invited me to come to church at the altar. It seemed like a strange place to be recruiting for government jobs, but I went anyway. After I got there and went inside, something felt very wrong. I felt as if my life was in danger and I had become so uncomfortable I had to leave. A couple days later, I started receiving text messages from Tim Remington. At first, they were innocuous Bible messages, but then he started threatening me. He sent messages talking about their power and other things. He did all of this through Bible verses so it would not look suspicious. I ignored everything until he sent one final text message which simply said, Angels. I thought nothing of it until helicopters started flying around my house. Dang. Imagine what that's imagine like that's crazy. Uh I got a lot of questions that we'll go over when I'm done. Um, I thought nothing of it until a helicopter started flying around my house all day and night. At this point, I knew I was in trouble. So I made an appointment to meet John Padula for coffee. I needed to contact him, so little did I know he had no intention of meeting me. After making the appointment to meet John, hold on one second. Okay, sorry. After making after making the appointment, I met After making the appointment to meet John, something very bizarre happened. I received a most unnatural, I'm pretty sure it says orgasm. And I only say that because I know this story. I've read this manifesto so many times. Most unnatural whatever I've ever had. It felt like someone was manually pumping blood into my wing a ding ding. I don't know how else to describe it. Immediately after that, a song began playing in my mind. The lyrics went, "Sister, sister, he's just a plaything. We want to make him stay up all night." I had never heard this song. I wonder if there's a real song that says that. Sister, sister, he's just a plaything. We want to make him stay up all night. um, what was that? Come on, man, it ain't loading. Okay, there we go. As it turned out, they weren't kidding. I got literally 0 minutes of sleep that night. Every time I started to drift off, I was woken up violently and the song would play. Now, you see, this is why I've read this so many times because I'm fascinated by this because he's either describing the onset of something like schizophrenia or else he really had these experiences or something. Like whatever it is, this is a very rare instance in which somebody's able to actually like record all of the events that led up to or all of the events like during his like uh plunge into psychosis. Okay. When the sun came up, I gave up on trying to sleep. I got out of bed. I was relieved at first because the song had quit playing. I thought the torture was over until a voice entered my mind. The voice said, "You're going to be uncomfortable. All you have to do is breathe." I sat there wondering what this meant until the voice spoke again. It told me I was going to be sacrificed like Jesus and get beheaded. This threw me into a complete panic. My heart began racing and I started to have a mental breakdown. A few minutes later, some man knocked on my door. I answered and he gave me a pamphlet talking about the sacrifice of Jesus. My mind started racing out of control and I became completely delirious. I thought for sure I was going to die. My thoughts shifted to my family and all I could think about was seeing them again. They were in Albuquerque at the time, so I decided to buy a one-way ticket there. When I reached the Spokane airport, my panic subsided. Everything was fine until I got on the plane to Albuquerque. I sat next to this huge man who kept telling me telepathically that he was going to crash the plane. Fuck! That's gotta be, dude. Like, like, I mean, obviously, something was going on in this guy's mind or brain that made him sick. But like, to go through that has gotta be fucking terrifying. Every time he spoke, he would sniff emphatically. I didn't I didn't know what to do. So I just sat there trying to stay as calm as possible. The man became angry about this and started touching my leg. The second he touched me, I could feel him inside of my mind. This caused me to panic until I was on the verge of causing a scene. Before I did anything, he told me to calm down and said, "You did a great job. You passed. Go enjoy your family. We have a job waiting for you when you get back." I thanked him and felt slightly relieved, but I had no intention of contacting him at all. My only thought was to get as far away from him as possible. After getting off the plane, I headed to the baggage claim. A huge group of them surrounded me there. I watched them cautiously. Then they all began sniffing at me. The sniff is something they do all the time. I think it has something to do with dominance. When I finally got my bag, I left the airport as fast as I could. My parents were right outside waiting to pick me up. I was so happy to see them again. I gave them big hugs and told them how much I loved them. This was my last happy moment in Albuquerque, however. They followed us everywhere we went after that. Whenever I saw one, they would sniff at me to let me know it was them. They would also smile, laugh, and stick their tongues out. As time went on, they started coaxing me to go outside alone. I was scared to death that they would kill me, so I refused. Eventually, they threatened to harm my family, which caused me to give in to them. I told them I would do whatever they want if they left my family alone. They responded saying, "Go to church." I knew they meant the altar, so I agreed to go when I get back. When I went to the altar for the first time, the people acted very strange. It was unhuman. As I walked into the sermon room, everybody stared at me and began sniffing emphatically. Needless to say, I was scared as hell, but I took a seat. When the service began, a man came and sat down next to me. After he sat down, I began smelling something. It was a smell that I had never smelled before. The only thing I can compare it to is a reptile and vinegar. After smelling it, I became very uncomfortable. I tried to remain calm and just sat there quietly until the service was over. When the service ended, they said, "Can you leave? You can leave now." After that, I knew I wasn't dealing with the government anymore. I realized that whoever I was dealing with was extraterrestrial, so I became very scared. I received no further instructions from them after that, so I began applying for jobs again. Even though I had done exactly as I was told, they still followed me everywhere I went. As time went on, they started harassing me day and night. I began to hear voices more often, and I began to hallucinate things that I knew weren't real. They also started playing with me sexually. Both the males and the females would play out their sexual fantasies in my mind. This came with random and uncomfortable boners, I guess, as well as extreme anal stimulation. I know because I've read it before. The harassment continued for weeks and intensified as time went on. I did my absolute best to maintain my sanity and try to avoid them. This worked for a while, but eventually I had a huge meltdown. One day I was in the bakery at Safeway when I got surrounded by a bunch of old men. Some of them looked at me and sniffed, so I knew it was them. They started stimulating my butt and winky simultaneously, and they spoke aggressively. They said, "Humans are nothing more than the result of a successful genetic experiment." See, to me, it's things like that that, to me, sound like they could possibly hit at this being a psychotic break or a schizophrenic episode. Because if you notice, when people have a psychotic episode or like a schizophrenic break, they always relate whatever like crazy thing that's going on externally to something that has happened to them personally. And like, I mean, but then again, genetics is like a really common thing too, though. But it just seems kind of questionable, or just kind of just like something that I would put a red line under if I was like analyzing this. You are a threat to the way these people think, and you can no longer be that too. Like that's like uh how a lot of times, because a lot of times these type of schizophrenic episodes happen in the form of people deifying themselves, people thinking that they are the next messiah or something like that. Your life is over. You are nothing but a toy Your purpose now is to suck reptile wee wee. They continued to say other explicit things that were so obscene I won't repeat them here. Before they finished talking, I became enraged. It took every imagine he's just gonna suck out all these random people at the freaking Safeway. It took every ounce of willpower I had to not kill them. I left the store and tried to calm down, but it only got worse. The rest of the night, they continually stimulated blank, and I couldn't stop blank. It got to the point to where I was in serious pain. They finally stopped after I broke down and became completely distraught. I knew I couldn't take anymore, so I attempted suicide. I filled a charcoal grill with lit coals and put it in my car and rolled up the windows. I reclined my seat and laid there calmly, then fell asleep. I should have died, but they woke me up in an extreme panic, which caused me to get out of the car. As I slowly regained consciousness, I felt very upset to still be alive. I had no clue where to go at that point, so I decided to check myself into the VA. They shipped me straight to the mental ward and I was admitted. Nothing improved while I was there. The medication they gave me did absolutely nothing. I just sat there surrounded by a bunch of psychotic people and became exasperated. I knew their goal was to run my life by making me into a crazy person. I became determined not to let that happen and I started fighting back. After leaving the VA, everything I tried to do with my life was sabotaged. They didn't want me dead, but they also weren't going to let me live. In desperation, I went back to the altar to ask them what they wanted from me. I didn't know what else to do. What's up, Tyrone? Salute and welcome in. Before I tell you their reply, I need to make an important caveat here. I had endured so much abuse by this time that I was numb to them. The details of what they've done to me are essential to the story, so I won't include them here. Aren't essential to the story, so I won't include them here. If you want to know more about, okay, their response was, "We want you as a sex slave." Thinking they were serious, I sat there waiting for them to do something. All they did was say, "Keep coming to church." So I did. After a few more services, I found myself talking to Tim Remington face to face. He was telling me that I should consider becoming a minister. We were in mid conversation when he suddenly revealed himself to me. I have no clue how he did it, but it looked as if his human face became his real face. It happened for only 1 to 2 seconds, but I was able to draw a sketch of what I saw. His eyes really stood out, so they captured my attention. Look, let's see. Who's Donnie's butt plug? I don't know. Some person. Look, these aliens look crazy. They look like a upside down. They look like a. They look like a radish or something, like a upside down green radish or something. Oh, look, this is what this is what he says those aliens look like underneath. They're like they have a human skin on top. Fucking terrifying, right? You imagine being face to face with the pastor, and the pastor's telling you, "Yeah, we're so happy to have you here, and thank you for coming." And you're telling him, "Oh, how you can't get no job, and how you lost this job and that job." And he's like, "Well, have you thought about picking up the cloth or the book?" And you're like, "Oh, I don't know." And then, fucking little, what is it? What kind of shape is this, bro? Like it's upside down as hell, right? Like the proportions are crazy. That's what makes it so like. That's one of the things that kind of makes it a little bit like kind of believable to me, bro. Because I've never seen like this is just so original. Like where the hell did that fucking must have been some good cocaine. Okay, let's get back to it. Yeah, it might have been Tyrone. Who knows? Who knows? I can't complain because I didn't have any viewers or commenters, and they gave me a view and a couple comments. So salute to them for that. Hey, that was really funny. Okay, where am I? Man, this shit's giving me a headache. Okay, well, uh, I gotta come up with a name for it. I gotta come up with a name and decide on. I don't know about the time, but I guess for the because I have so many um interesting pieces of content like on this strange part of the internet or whatever. So I'll be doing a little daily strange and odd and strange stuff stream. Or maybe I might do might I might I've been switching. I've been thinking about switching to pre-recorded stuff. What do you call it? So if y'all see some pre-recorded stuff, maybe that's what I decided to do. But I'm gonna go smoke a doobie and go outside and get some air for a little bit. Tyrone, thank you for stopping by, homie. Sorry I couldn't stay and chop it up, man. This document's giving me a headache though. But anybody else that stopped by and anybody that didn't stop by, and God and everybody else, man, good to talk to y'all. Salute. Y'all take care. Remember, guys, there's your side, there's her side, and there's the blind side. I will be finishing this tomorrow though. Like both stories, both alien stories. This Kyle Odom and the Cosmic Voyage. We started them today and we will be finishing them tomorrow. I just got to get a break from the screen. But I will talk to you guys soon. Remember, like I said, there's your side, there's her side, and there's the blind side. Blind side news. Y'all be good. I'm out of here. Peace.